There's two blacks, right?
Shit. Both are big, but
Right. Yeah, both are very good. One is like way bigger.
black rock. Hello and welcome to the Rupeeting podcast. I'm Hardik.
I'm Yash.
So, yeah, this week we are missing a member again. No worries, I shall be back with us next week for sure. Before starting, I would like to give a short disclaimer. Whatever we discuss here is for educational purposes only. Don't take anything too seriously and don't take it as financial advice for sure. If you want that, go to rupeeting.com and all that jazz. Cool. Sure. Let's start. What are we discussing this week, Yash?
I think today's topic is a very unique company because it's in the business of tubes. So these are not tire tubes. These are the tubes you use in your toothpaste, lotion, cream, ointments, anything. So the company is SL Propack Limited.
Okay.
One in every 3 tubes in the world that you find, these types of tubes is made by EPL, that is SL Propack.
Damn, so like Colgate and all these guys, they get tubes from SL.
They have all the big FMCG customers like Colgate, P&G, Unilever, Patanjali as well, ITC, L'Oreal in the beauty and personal care.
Quite the roster.
Yeah. And it has been on the market for a long time.
Okay.
Almost 2005. And it has grown 5x since then. But in the past few years as well, the company has done really good.
Damn, beautiful. Alright, so talking about the tube market a little bit, I think the total amount of tubes produced in the world are around like 42 billion, and out of which 8 billion are produced by EPL. So it is an industry titan, like it's big. And yeah, like you said, it produces 1 in 3 oral care tubes and 1 in 10 for BCP segment, the beauty, cosmetic and pharmaceutical segment, and 1 in 12 for food, home and industrial. So it has its hands in every pie. Cool.
If you can tell us a little bit about what has changed with EPL in the last few years.
So EPL's history is a little bit it has been some muddy waters. Basically, the problem was with its promoter group. It used to be owned by the Subhash Chandra promoter
group.
SL group basically.
Hence the name SL Propack.
It was formerly named as SL Propack Limited. Now it's just called EPL.
Yeah.
So I think he got into some trouble. I'm not sure why. Could you tell us?
Yeah, but before that, I think SL Propack trying to call itself EPL is like Indian Tobacco Company trying to call itself ITC. It's just trying to hide their mess, but what it is what it is.
So I think whatever they needed, basically the promoter group needed a cash, and they were selling off a few entities, among which was EPL. So it was kind of a distress sell. They didn't get a very good price for it. For the buyer though, it was a very successful transaction, and the buyer was Blackstone Group. Blackstone is, if you don't know, they are like the biggest private equity firm in the world. And these guys come in, they revamp the entire management. So they get a new CEO, just kick everyone out and get new guys in. And Blackstone has a portfolio of big companies working for them. So they just get like the best. They pick out the best people from each of their portfolio companies which are doing well, put them all into EPL at once, and then in 1 year they 2x their investment, I guess.
Yeah. So they got almost 51% from the promoters, and the remaining 25% they got from the open offer. The market offer that they put out. Just got it from the market. And they 2x their investment in almost 2 years. I think they sold just a quarter of their investment. They still own around 50%, right?
Yeah. So I think they initially bought 50% from the promoter group, and then 25% in the open market thing.
Yeah.
And then they, after 1 year, changes in the management and everything, company becomes good. Whatever they sold, the 23% which they had bought above.
to
like again in the market, basically mutual funds, government of India, a lot of people bought the stock.
Yeah. But
So-
I think the past year or two EPL has been struggling a little bit because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
So,
basically, so EPL makes tube. Obviously, majority of his business is dependent on FMCG, and FMCG basically took a big hit during the pandemic. So even its contracted customers, which usually don't face demand shortages, the products were just not moving. So EPL was in quite the slump basically. So pandemic was little bit of a very big of a problem for EPL basically. FMCG products were dependent on FMCG products were not moving. EPL faces a slump. Lot of its international businesses were on the verge of almost collapsing. China, its new expansion in Brazil was halted. So yeah, but now everything is back on track kind of. China, the restrictions are being lifted very fast. EPL is already getting order inflows from China because their demand is expected to start back up very soon, and it's going to be big basically. Brazil is also on track. They have already started trials, I think, of their plant in Brazil.
so that's an expansion that's going on there.
Yeah. Brazil is of course a very big upcoming market,
Yeah.
and I don't think there is. I think one big company currently who sells in Brazil, but they are also highly mismanaged. I think it was Amcor. So basically, the biggest advantage EPL has in Brazil is it has done a good kind of market research, and the locations that these guys are setting up their companies in are going to be extremely strategically placed.
Okay.
So unlike their competitors who came at a time where the market was not as developed, so they had less of an idea of where to set up their plants basically. So EPL will get a major advantage from that.
So they'll target the growth hubs that can help like better raw material sourcing for them, less transportation cost.
Yeah,
things like that.
exactly. So it's like coming to India and setting up a IT company in Kolkata. Nobody would care.
Yeah.
Do it in Mumbai. So yeah,
I mean, Mumbai is also not that appropriate. I guess Bangalore would be the.
Bangalore is the IT hub.
And one more thing, I think in the pandemic that was a really big problem is the rising raw material costs.
Yeah,
Because,
so costs were a huge problem for EPL. Basically, EPL has two kinds of customers. Half of them are contracted. I'm not sure what is the split exactly, but majority of them are contracted, and a lot of them are uncontracted as well. Major difference is contracted customers, fixed price, you decide on a contract basis, and 2-3 years ka contract tenure is there.
Okay.
So basically, they can't pass on the increase in cost to the contracted customers.
So the price is already decided at which they are going to sell.
Exactly. So even if there is a margin, they lose out on the margin increasingly if there is inflation or like a sudden rise in cost.
So I think there is a bit of inflation already priced in, but they couldn't price in the high
Yeah.
inflation during COVID.
Exactly.
Because I think, for example, polymer or aluminum foil, which is used in a tube,
Exactly.
they went up by like 75% and 108% in the 2 years from FY20 to 22. So I think standard inflation in contract would be 5, 6, max 10%, I guess.
Exactly. Nobody can account for 100% inflation.
Yeah.
For sure.
In 2 years.
That won't make sense. Yeah. So good thing was the brunt was not as brutal because they could pass on the increase in cost to their non-contracted customers basically, which is also.
But that's almost half of
major
their
challenge.
revenue,
Yeah.
right?
So, but now the good thing is raw material prices are coming back to normal. I think polymer, aluminum, they're already down like from their COVID highs 20-30%, and will continue to keep going down. I think the prices have dropped from 140 rupees per kg, I think, to 110 now. And their pre-COVID averages have been like 80 bucks or something. So we can't like expect them to continue to fall basically.
I think the supply chain was in disarray, plus China being closed down. A lot
Exactly.
of things just like for sourcing raw material were problematic for the
Because
company.
the transport was also a major problem because I remember while looking through the P&L for EPL, basically freight costs are a huge cost for them. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know, 20-30% of their revenue basically, because they operate all across the world, and so freight costs were around in the range of 70 to 80 cr for EPL. They have been, but so from FY17, in FY17 the freight costs were 66 crore, and they grew on average by a CAGR of 8%. This happened till FY20. After which they started growing at a CAGR of 34%.
Wow.
And they were, I think, in FY22 at like 150 CR or something, which is a lot, like coming from 60, 80 crores, almost doubled. So
I think there's this thing also that happened right last year or 2 years back, I guess I have to say, that the ship got stuck in the Suez Canal, and then a lot of problems globally were like not caused by that but triggered, and there's a lot of blockage.
Only goes to show like how interconnected the global supply chain is.
Yeah, just
one ship just stopped the global trade. That is how weak humans are. But,
we are trying to build
tangent
systems
going
to
on. But no, like coming back to reducing cost, basically EPL has a lot of crazy initiatives to keep reducing their cost. And from the sustainability point of view also, they have this program called Zero Waste to Landfill, basically. And which is again a recycling kind of thing. Not sure what exactly they do, but their waste disposal costs were reduced by like 15%, and their waste generated was also reduced by 25%. So
this was a good time for them to optimize their plants and their products.
Yeah,
I think so. As raw material prices normalize, this is better for them because now they are even more efficient than they were pre-COVID.
Exactly. Yeah. And like again on the cost front, EPL as a company is way stronger than its competitors as such, because it is almost completely integrated its entire process. So the plastic sheets that EPL requires to make the tubes are made in its plants in India and China. They have big manufacturing hubs there, and then the sheets are just spread out to all its other plants across the globe.
Okay.
So they don't have to source there locally. Basically, they have their own sheets ka production, and yeah, that's why their supply chain is quite integrated.
This is akin to a Domino's sending out dough to its stores. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So they take care of their own basically. Cool. Another reason to why do you think EPL is a good company, Yash?
I think as we talked about it, tubes is very big. So toothpaste, of course, comes to mind. They are doing really well in oral care because everyone needs a toothpaste. But they also started in the personal care segment. There is stuff like eye care or medication or food. There is a hand cream, like a lot of things that come around. Of course, the cosmetic segment, which is pretty big. They all need tubes. This could be a squeeze out tube as well, or a longer tube which you just have a pump. I don't know what kind of things you use.
Okay. So basically, to give a little bit of background, EPL is a very old company. They started back in 1982 or something, and 1992 they go international with their first plant in Egypt because the demand rising there. But till like 2010ish, they were majorly in oral care only. Like they were the oral care kings basically. In FY11, they get into the beauty and care segment. They start making tubes for face wash and stuff like that. And from there, the beauty and care segment has grown exponentially. Like they have been the oral kings for sure.
Okay.
The oral care part has also, the revenue has been growing at a 10% CAGR for the last decade. But for the personal care, which is like the other part of the business, personal care, pharma products, they have been growing at a CAGR of 15%.
Okay.
So it's kind of oral care has been there for a long time. This other segment, in a decade, it has like taken over half the company kind of. So like from zero back in FY11, they are now at like 47% revenue of the company. So the sales mix has changed a lot.
So the company is much more diversified now.
Exactly, it's for the better. So if let's say people just stop buying toothpaste for some reason, EPL is not going to crash and burn basically.
Yeah.
So diversification into a smaller segment is the really good thing about EPL, and like the most notable thing about EPL and why I love the company, basically these guys are crazy innovative.
Okay.
So from all kinds of, they have very strong R&D into the tubes. So how its business model works, right? Usually if you are a manufacturer of some product, you require packaging for your thing. You come to me, you tell me ki I want packaging, I will design a package. These guys work in a different way only. They find new and exciting products and they design even more exciting packaging for it, and then they go pitch it to the businesses.
Okay, so they are creating their own customers.
Exactly.
With a product that's not in the market.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive sales strategy, but damn, it works. They have 20% market share globally. So, like I was looking at the roster of their products, crazy amount of innovation, like sprays and stuff. Like they're designing new kinds of toothpaste, tubes, and everything.
Okay.
And when they come up with a new form of product, basically, it triggers kind of an waterfall effect into these other products designed for that design of packaging, basically.
Okay.
So if they come up with an oral spray, basically, and they sell it to one pharma company, all other pharma companies start making oral sprays and then get packaging from these guys.
Got it.
So it's a very macro view of things, but that is how it basically works.
Now I think we should talk about the numbers.
Cool. Coming to the
Not financial advice again, just a disclaimer. But we're just trying to understand the business, so we'll try to like put numbers instead of just subjective descriptions.
Cool. Financial analysts, don't trust us. So, like coming to the valuation, EPL is of course a very good company, as we have talked for so long. We expect very strong earnings growth from EPL because of, like we said, the pharma and beauty segments growing crazy rapidly. The gradual shift from laminated tubes, which are rigid form, to like plastic tubes, which are way more easy for EPL to make, and the shift is good for overall the company. Basically, they're adding new customers across geographies by their aggressive sales tactics and expansion, like Brazil and all, and their strong focus on sustainability. Like the company is sustainable AF. How do I say it? Everywhere I read about EPL, someone is talking about how sustainable, how good governance they are.
I think that helps with the ESG aspect also, right?
Yeah, it helps crazy. Like this is the only company so far I have researched about which gives out quarterly governance reports.
Okay.
Like nobody does that.
And I think it's also helping other companies better their ESG with, as the products get more and more sustainable.
Because their client base is so diverse and international, basically, them being sustainable, like obviously.
It has trickle down effects.
Yeah. So coming back to the valuation, we expect EPL's revenue to grow at a 12% CAGR, its EBITDA to grow at a 20% CAGR, and finally its income to grow at 34% CAGR.
PAT. Yeah. Profit after
34% PAT CAGR. So considering its 20% global market share, its leadership, its strategic expansion in Brazil, and its strong R&D towards making its product continuously more sustainable and better for the world and its customers, we value it at a 19x FY25 expected EPS. So that brings us to a price of $210, which gives us like a potential upside of 30% last time I checked. Not sure.
The price is around 160, so
so 30% upside overall.
And like the company has been very resilient despite COVID and earnings falling in the past 1.5 years.
Exactly.
And it's still on a very good growth trajectory. Like margins, of course, took a hit because of all the factors that we discussed. But the company has that gene of innovation. It can go past all these challenges, I think. And so it seems like a good company to bet on.
It has always, I think, been a very strong company. In the middle part, I think because its promoter group facing some problems, it lost out. But now with Blackstone again backing it, it's having such a strong promoter group and the management revamped. At least I expect super good things from the company. Yeah. Because everybody needs toothpaste, guys. So
I think there's much less of a risk of, let's say, financial fraud with a backer like Blackstone.
Yeah. That is even truer.
And the capital backing they bring, of course.
Smoonies. All the green in the world, baby. What is their AUM, Yash? Just for interest.
I think it's like around 5 trillion or something.
That is more than India's GDP, right?
Oh. No. Is that Blackstone or is that BlackRock? There's two blacks, right?
Shit. Both are big, but
right. Yeah, both are big, but one is like way bigger.
BlackRock is bigger, I think.
It's 880 billion. Blackstone. EU1.
Small, very small.
Yeah, it's very small compared to BlackRock. Yeah.
It's 9 trillion or something, right? Cool. That's it about EPL, guys. We'll get you something exciting next week too. See you. Bye.
That's a wrap.